Jennifer, Hecate, Macbeth, William McKinley and Me, Elizabeth, by E.L. Konigsberg. This is my challenged material presentation by Jennifer Clow Morrow. E.L. Konigsberg submitted Jennifer, Hecate, Macbeth, William McKinley and Me, Elizabeth, her first novel, to Athenaeum Books in 1967. That same year, she submitted From the Mixed-Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. Both were published. In 1968, From the Mixed-Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler won the Newbery Medal, and Jennifer, Hecate, Macbeth, William McKinley and Me, Elizabeth, won the runner-up. She is still the only author to have received both honors in the same year. 29 years later, in 1997, she won the Newbery Medal again for The View from Saturday. The first edition was published by Athenaeum Books in 1967. The current edition is by Aladdin Paperbacks. There have been several publishers and editions in between. Jennifer and Elizabeth are both 10-year-old girls in 5th grade. Elizabeth is a newcomer to the school and her apartment building, where she doesn't really fit in with the popular girls. She often feels lonely, and she's very aware of her different outlook on the popular crowd, until she makes a new friend, Jennifer, on Halloween. Jennifer is dressed as a pilgrim in a very realistic Halloween costume and tells Elizabeth that she is a witch. Jennifer befriends Elizabeth and teaches her how to become an apprentice witch and then a journeyman witch. This is the original Citizens' Request for Reconsideration of Material at my school. Jennifer, Hecate, Macbeth, William McKinley, and Me, Elizabeth, was the last book to be challenged 8 years ago in the 2004-2005 school year. On the reconsideration request, one of the reasons that the book is being challenged is because Jennifer refers at one point to the Salem witch trials and mentions that witches were burned. The girls also refer to the Black Book of Witchcraft for their spells several different times throughout the story. The girls march around a fountain in a park to cast their spells. Under the question, to what in the material do you object? Please be specific, cite pages. This is what's written. References made to witchcraft, spells, in-depth referral to witches and history, burning, etc. There were no page numbers, just very general statements. The parent wanted this book withdrawn from all students as well as from her own child. E.L. Konigsberg knew this might happen. She did say in a Scholastic Teacher's interview, there are people who don't like Jennifer, Hecate, Macbeth, William McKinley, and Me, Elizabeth, because the little girl pretends to be a witch. So she knew and she was aware of the situation. Let's see how our school handled it. There had been a precedent set at my school already. A year earlier, this book was challenged. It's called Mick Hart Was Here, and it's by Barbara Park. The story is told by a little girl whose brother was killed in a bicycle wreck. She becomes disillusioned and is mad at God. The challenger wanted this book pulled off the shelf so no student could read it. During this challenge, a committee was formed of the assistant superintendent, a 4th grade teacher, the principal, and the library media specialist. That committee decided to keep the book on the shelf, but not allow the challenger's 4th grade daughter to check it out, because the parents didn't want her to read it. By the way, the parents of the child were religious leaders in our community, a pastor and his wife. It may not come as a surprise to know that those same parents are the ones that challenged Jennifer. Based on the previous decision, the principal read Jennifer, Hecate, Macbeth, William, McKinley, and Me, Elizabeth, and had a meeting with the library media specialist and the parents. They all decided to allow only 5th graders and older to check out this book. By the way, our school only goes up through 5th grade. Anyway, at the parents' request, the daughter was not allowed to check out this book. I thought you might like to know that after this daughter left 5th grade, we haven't had any more challenged books in our elementary school. However, there have been a few at the middle school level since then. Also, this book has since been weeded and has not been replaced due to disinterest. My personal thoughts, this book was challenged in our library almost 30 years after it was written. 30 years ago, it might have seemed more controversial, with Jennifer being the only black girl in her school or with the witchcrafting and spells. But in 2005, with all the movies and books and television shows, this seems very mild to me. Think of Sabrina the Teenage Witch on the Disney Channel. Anyway, there's the fact that at the end of the book, it becomes very clear that these girls were just pretending. Also, I'd like to point out that Harry Potter came out in 1998, 6 years before this challenge, with much more spellcasting and witchery. I wondered as I was researching this if this daughter was allowed to read those books. No matter what my personal opinions are, I would go through the proper channels and actions if a book were challenged in my library. I would first hope to solve the problem by visiting with the parent and coming to an agreement. Maybe not to check out the challenged book to their student until he or she is a certain age. Possibly I would have to agree not to check that book out to the student at all. I don't think so that one parent has a right to speak for all parents and ask that a book be removed from the shelf so that no one has access to it. If it came down to it and a committee decided that a book must be removed from the school's collection, I would abide by that decision. In conclusion, I like this book. With all of the different fantasy movies, TV shows, and books that are out now, like Harry Potter and Sabrina the Teenage Witch and the Disney Channel shows, I don't think that this book is extreme. The Salem witch trials are referred to, but I looked at my 5th grade son's curriculum, and in the spring they talk about that era and mention the Salem witch trials. So I don't think that it is out of the league or out of the understanding of a 5th grade student. If this book were still in my library, I would not take it out based on what I think. I would have to abide by any decisions the committee would make. Thank you.